today's episode of Product Bites, we have Will Fitzgerald, Director of Product at AINS. Will shares with us the impact that going through product management training helped on him and his ability to grow his career, and also how he's helping his team grow and develop new skills in product management.
Hello. So my name is Will Fitzgerald. I am Director of Product Management at AINS Inc. in Gaithersburg, Maryland.
So first of all, how did you get here? Why product management? How do you get started? Can you give me a quick journey for you?
Yeah, so I started as a business analyst with the same company that I work for today about 6 years ago. And at that time, we were building custom applications, and my company kind of started to look into different ways to pivot away from custom applications because of the overhead and demand required to complete custom applications and start to develop SaaS applications, commercial off-the-shelf solutions. So I was tasked as one of the different business analysts with finding different markets that we could penetrate with our platform technology and build SaaS solutions to be able to, work with a particular market and sell products that were already kind of built, 70% of the way to what a customer ultimately needs. After I did this research, I came back with two potential solutions, kind of that I thought we could leverage our platform technology. And my company gave me the kind of green light to go ahead and develop those applications. And, it was a slow, iterative process where, we had to reach out and evangelize the products, get feedback from, the stakeholders in the marketplace, conduct a lot of research, and demonstrate those prototypes to all of our, different potential stakeholders and customers, and collect that feedback to continue iterating, new versions of the product. Eventually, we got to the point where we had, viable solutions that were, commercially available. And then, once the products were actually launched, my company asked me to kind of step into more of a product management role. So, at that point, I kind of had to really dig in and understanding the market and evangelizing the products and understanding how to continue to innovate and keep your products competitive in the marketplace. And, that's a process of, as a product manager, one side of it, of course, is being able to lead all of the different sprint and agile ceremonies. The other side of it is really understanding your market and being able to communicate and educate sales, marketing, finance, really every division, of the business, and use, their knowledge and be sort of that center point of contact for everybody.
So tell me, you share a little bit of your story about the value you got from the training program we did together. Can you tell me a little bit of how learning new product management techniques and practices can have an impact on your ability to do your job better?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So one of the major things that I noticed after we started implementing some of the things that we learned in the class was that our customers also understood the process that we're taking internally to release, our sprints and prioritize different features. So without that understanding of, your development capacity and the amount of story points that you're assigning to specific stories and combining those two things to be able to develop a sprint, your customers just expect that you're going to build everything that they ask you for by a certain date. With this information, it gives you the ability to also educate your clients and your customers so that they also get involved in this product management, sort of process. And, they're not only sitting on the sidelines feeding you information, they're becoming interactive team members and participating in the sprint planning, participating in the, not necessarily the stand-ups, but some of the other ceremonies in the agile process. So the biggest challenge now, sort of as an executive managing multiple product teams, is trying to align every product team on that same path of methodologies and processes. So as a product manager, it's a little bit easier to, influence your product team and how they perform their daily tasks. But it's a lot more difficult whenever you have to manage multiple product managers and multiple product lines. So when a organization is functioning, at its most, optimal way, I think, is when every team is fully aligned on how their methodologies are, being completed, how their tools are being utilized, how their metrics are, being, utilized to measure performance. All those different things, across an organization are a lot more difficult to implement than in a single product line.
Earlier, you mentioned that part of your job was also to share good practices with the people in your team, the people that report to you, and help them grow as product managers, product owners, as professionals. Can you share on that?
Oh yeah, I mean, so since taking the class, what I kind of realized is there's really not much of a difference between a business analyst and a product owner. Okay, a business analyst is somebody that owns more of the day-to-day activities around a product. But if you empower somebody to have the thought process of, okay, I own this product, as opposed to, I'm just sort of an associate and a background person to the product manager, then you get a lot more feedback. You get, a wider range of experiences and expertise on your team that are able to contribute to different areas. One of the things that I think I'm not as strong in is user interface design. But because I, started empowering more of the people on my team, we discovered that there is a member of our team that's very strong in user interface design. And he started creating more wireframes and developing more, testing around user experience, and was able to help us really perfect, that UI UX, issue I think that we were having previously.
Got it. So now you have a cross-functional team, and then you can help each other and elevate the performance of the entire team.
Exactly. Everybody lifts each other up. And that's the most important thing is, where somebody may not be as strong, if you lift other people up, you'll find that other people on your team are strong in those places, and they will, they won't be afraid to open up and provide feedback where they think something is being done wrong, or they think something could be done better.
So how can you help, yourself first, and then help your reports, like the people in your team, to learn new skills, develop new expertise, grow as professionals?
So I think one of the main ways is by trying to continuously educate the teams internally and checking in with those teams on progress. So one of the things that we do now a lot is I'll have lunch and learns with the other product managers, and we'll go over different aspects of, the sprint ceremonies and who's supposed to be involved and what the roles are supposed to be, and how a sprint is supposed to be run, and all these things, down to, like I was saying, the assignment of story points to determine, how many stories could be completed based on that development team's velocity. All that sharing of education has really helped the other product teams elevate their capabilities.
Altogether, right? Yeah. So if you look at the three main areas of responsibility for a product manager that I call product discovery in general. So customer focus, understanding the problem, understanding what the market and what we're trying to solve.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. The second one is execution, driving product development, working with the developing team, with the Scrum team, getting the product done. And the third one is measuring value.
Right.
Where do you think your teams are focusing the most now?
On the execution side. So now that we have this knowledge on what our market is and how to approach the market, I think sharing this information has really helped the execution side, because instead of sitting back and waiting for development resources, other product teams are now more proactive in getting those development resources. So the execution side is definitely where we're performing the best. Now, where on the opposite side, where I think we need the most improvement is on measuring value. How do we measure value? It's really difficult, to measure value and to try to figure out, what's the return on a feature? What's the return on implementing a new methodology? What's the return on utilizing a new tool, like switching from TFS to Jira for backlog management? Those kinds of things are a lot more difficult to measure, and that's what we're still trying to work out. But on the execution side, now the other product teams are not afraid to proactively get those development resources so that they can execute.
Yeah, and when you say measuring value, you gave a couple of examples from the internal perspective, like the team, like Jira, TFS, and these kind of things. Are you also thinking about measuring value for the business overall, or for the customers for whom you're building the product, all these kind of things?
Yeah. We think about that in terms of, how much has their productivity increased since they converted to our tools? How well are they adjusting to the new system once they convert to our product? In terms of things like adoption. We also can utilize some web analytics that we've created to determine where we need to educate certain users or certain user groups better. We also can figure out, for specific roles within our system, from a role-based perspective, how can we better serve those users? Because a lot of times what we find is at the beginning of a project, we're working with management level users. And of course, they're concerned with their experience in the product. But then after we roll out into production, the lower, level users, they feel like, maybe their needs weren't addressed as much. So it's a matter of, continuously maintaining communication with customers at all levels of the organization to make sure that everybody's needs are being met.
Got it. Which is also the part of connecting with the customer focus, measuring the value for them, and keeping that cycle open.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, Will, it was a pleasure talking with you.
Yes, it was great talking to you again.